Hey everyone, what's up? Yeah, I thought I'd just come out here and talk about, well, predictions for SummerSlam. It's not like I'm predicting the matches or anything, but these are match predictions. Some of them, obviously, we already know are going to occur, and some we don't. We do know that there are two matches official for SummerSlam, as far as we know. We know we're getting a Fatal 4-Way for the Universal Championship on the Raw side, which is going to feature Brock Lesnar defending against Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. We know on the SmackDown side that the only match they have confirmed there is Naomi defending against Natalya, and then on the Raw side again we have Alexa Bliss and Bayley. Now, as far as those three matches go, it's kind of up in the air because a lot of people say, as far as like Alexa and Bayley go, a lot of people are saying that Alexa's killing it as champion, but I would project that this is exactly what is needed to launch us into Bayley and Sasha. You might ask why. Well, this past Monday, I didn't see the match, but I heard it was okay. I heard it was good. But if this match this past Monday is any indication, then yeah, we're pretty much heading in that direction. So, there's rumors of Brock Lesnar going back to UFC very soon, maybe getting out of his contract, we don't know. So, the Fatal 4-Way, that's kind of up in the air, but a lot of people are projecting either Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman, not Samoa Joe. And then Naomi and Natalya, that just got announced. A lot of people are projecting Naomi to win, and some might say Natalya might win as a thank you, but everybody's also projecting a Carmella cash-in. And here's the one thing about the Carmella cash-in that I'm going to address here, because it does have to involve SummerSlam. I do expect her I do expect her to cash in, to cash in her contract or briefcase, but I don't expect her to be successful. Here's why. Why go through all this trouble to do the screwy finish at Money in the Bank, do a rematch, 2 weeks later, about a week later on SmackDown? Basically what Carmella this time hooking the briefcase and winning, becoming an undisputed two-time Money in the Bank winner, and becoming the undisputed first ever Miss Money in the Bank. Why go through all this trouble, along with the fact that she keeps telling Naomi time after time after time, hey, I'm right here, don't forget about me, I got this, you gotta remember, I have this anytime, da-da-da-da. She's pretty much, from a storyline perspective, setting herself up for failure. From a story perspective, depending on who writes the story, who's writing for SmackDown, Carmella is basically setting herself up. Carmella, from a storyline perspective, again, depending on who's writing, okay, I think the one consistency between any of the writers is Carmella is being set up in a storyline perspective, is being set up to failure, easy for me to say, is being set up for failure when it comes to cashing in. In other words, let's say she cashes in on Naomi after Naomi wins her match against Natalya possibly at SummerSlam, that as soon as she gives the briefcase to the referee and the bell rings, Naomi's going to lock her into that submission. She's going to catch her, lock her into that, she's going to hit her with a review, lock her in that submission, and that's it. That's pretty much how I see it going down. Because here's the thing, why would you allow Naomi to basically, what's the saying, scenarize the SmackDown Women's Championship? Why would you have her do that? Why would you have her scenarize the SmackDown Women's Championship? There's a reason. There's a reason. That reason is unless unless you plan to just have her do that temporarily, unless you have plans for that to be the next toy to be sold, I don't, unless they have plans for that, I don't see Naomi dropping it. And unless they don't have plans, then I do see Naomi dropping it. So, because she now has the glow around the championship and everything, I expect she's going to have that title for quite some time. And I expect anybody, if anybody is going to take the belt off her, it's not going to be anybody on the SmackDown roster right now. It's going to be somebody they're going to bring up, and I think we all know who they're going to bring up to make that title change happen. I think we all do. But, yeah, as far as the match, that SmackDown match for SummerSlam, I just don't see Naomi losing, and I don't see Carmella, as far as her cashing in at the event, I don't see her being successful. I see her, again, I see from a consistent storyline perspective, again, depending on who the writers are, I see from a consistent storyline perspective, because it seems her Money in the Bank deal is the only consistent storyline they have at times. I see her being set up to fail. Because, let's look at it this way. Baron Corbin is Mr. Money in the Bank, but yet he doesn't really flaunt it that much. He doesn't go up to Jinder Mahal, except on the he doesn't go up to someone like Jinder Mahal except for after, let's say, Money in the Bank on that special edition of Talking Smack after Money in the Bank. He doesn't go up to him that much. He, except for that 1 week and maybe one or two other times, he hasn't really flaunted the fact that he's got the briefcase, he's got the contract. He's just making it known that, yeah, I have this. He's not really making it known. The people that are making it known are the commentators, the announcers, that pretty much keep reminding us he's Mr. Money in the Bank. He can cash in at any time. So when you take a look at the differences between him and Carmella, it seems, maybe it's just me, but it seems like Carmella is being set up from a storyline perspective. Like, again, I know I've been emphasizing this a lot, depending on who's writing the storyline or not. Carmella's being set up to fail with her cash-in. In other words, she's being set up to go bankrupt. I'm just saying, I could be proven wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be proven wrong. I mean, just think about that. But as far as the SummerSlam match predictions, right now, some matches are still kind of being up in the air. They're still discussing what matches they're going to do. I look at the fact that one thing Dalyxman said in his surprising SmackDown review that he did live. One thing he pointed out, and I even thought about this as well, because I kind of read the spoilers a little bit with this, and didn't really watch the show. Because like anybody, from what people have said about Battleground, I wasn't sure we were going to get a good show. But when I read the spoilers, I was like, whoa, this is a huge improvement. People got to be glad about this. And obviously, I'm sure a lot of people were. But, when I saw the whole situation with, when I read about the backstage thing with Kevin and Shane, it's going to lead to a match. It is. But here's how I see it happening. I see it could be Shane and Kevin at SummerSlam in a street fight, a no disqualification street fight, which would, as you said, Dalyxman, would suit Kevin's style to be more of that Kevin Steen-like character. I could see that. But I could also see, Shane probably wanting to do the fight, but being told maybe by some higher ups not to do it, but to find somebody else. And that's why I think Chris Jericho could come into play. Because I don't think Chris Jericho's appearance here on SmackDown Live was just a one-time. His return to SmackDown Live was just a one-time deal. No. I think they brought Chris in because, one, of course, they probably need the star power. And 2, they brought him in for SummerSlam. And I think they're bringing him in if he is back on a part-time basis, basically like maybe he'll just show up for the SmackDown Lives and then go off and tour with Fozzy and all that. I see Shane McMahon selecting Chris Jericho to be Kevin's opponent at SummerSlam in a street fight. That's what I see, because think about it. This would be the culmination of two storylines, basically two feuds, if you will, into one. Kevin's rivalry and feud starting up with Shane, and this long-running rivalry and feud, personal-wise, with Jericho. It all can culminate into a street fight at SummerSlam, and between the two. And you're probably thinking, well, that's great, but there has to be something more to it. Here's what I was thinking could happen, because this would fit the Owens character, the WWE Kevin Owens character. I think what will happen is Kevin will fight. If they go with Shane, that's great. But if they don't, and they go with, let's say, Shane choosing Jericho, then this is what I see happening. I see Kevin Owens wanting a stipulation. And the stipulation could be one of two things. He can either want a shot at the WWE Championship at any time he wants, any place. Or 2, just to mess with Shane from a storyline perspective, he wants to be, for the next 30 days, the general manager. In other words, for 30 days, Daniel Bryan goes away, probably gets written off so he can spend time with Bree and the baby Birdie, which I think would be great, which I think would be a good idea if you let him have more family time. Let Owens take over for Bryan in his place for 30 days, and in those 30 days, make Shane's life a living hell. Like, Shane can come out and say, we're going to do this, but then you can have Kevin come out and basically counter him with this and that. Basically, to the point that if they don't do Shane and Kevin at SummerSlam, this could lead to Shane and Kevin at the October SmackDown Live pay-per-view, or maybe the Survivor Series. That's what I see they can do. That's how I see they can do that. That's what I see they can do between Shane and Kevin. Because storyline-wise, Shane has made it clear he doesn't like Kevin. He doesn't care for his attitude. So I think, from a storyline perspective, if they do the match at SummerSlam, you need to have something on the line. And I think what needs to be on the line is Kevin Owens either becoming a co-commissioner for 30 days or the general manager for 30 days, and thus make Shane's life a living hell by doing so. Or if he wins, or if they choose another stipulation, if Kevin, let's say, beats Shane, or whoever Shane chooses to face Kevin, then Kevin gets a shot at the WWE Championship at any time, any place. So that's how I see that story going, depending on what they do. Because I think if we don't get the match between Shane and Kevin here at SummerSlam, we'll most definitely get it Survivor Series. If Shane chooses somebody to face Kevin and Kevin beats him, and let's say they decide to go with the whole co-commissioner or general manager deal for 30 days, co-commissioner or general manager for 30 days deal. So it's a number of possibilities, but match-wise, I hope they do Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens. I really do. I'm in agreement with Dalyxman here. I hope they do it because I think it will really help establish Owens as a legit anti-authority heel. You can have your anti-authority baby faces and your anti-authority tweeners, but here's a guy that can basically set himself up as the anti-authority heel that's anti-authority to the authority figures that do the fair and just thing, but isn't the same way towards the authority figures that do the heelish thing, that don't do the right thing. So I could honestly, Kevin would literally benefit from a match with Shane. I really do. Because if you put him in the ring with someone like Shane McMahon, Despite him facing John Cena on multiple occasions, even beating Cena on his main WWE roster debut, pay-per-view debut. I can see, and thus establishing himself sort of as a upper mid-card heel, a lower main event heel. I could see him, and I was just checking something there. I could see him really benefiting from this, probably more so because he's going up against a McMahon, and that, I guess in WWE's terms, is a big deal. So I hope that match happens. I'm predicting that match will happen, or Shane's going to get someone to fight for him, and then the match might take place later on. John Cena and Jinder Mahal, a lot of people are predicting that's going to happen. I'm hoping, here's the thing. The fan that showed Dalyxman the poster for SummerSlam, he said John, Jinder, and Shinsuke were the only main guys right now involved in this title picture situation that were featured. Well, you know what? If I'm WWE, then I do something that really throws people for a loop. Okay? I do something that really throws people for a loop. And you know what I do? I set it up to where it's going to look like a triple threat maybe, which would be great. But then, the following week, after next week, basically a week from Tuesday, or even maybe after the rematch between Styles and Owens at, on SmackDown Live, I have Styles say he wants it. You see, everybody's projecting AJ against Nakamura for the US title at SummerSlam. That would be great too. That's going to be a show stealer if it happens. Because people are going to expect maybe what they saw in New Japan now here on the main WWE roster. We'll have to wait and see if they do the match. But here's my thoughts. I'm thinking that if you want to counter Raw blow for blow from a storyline brand superiority perspective, why not have Shane or Daniel book a fatal four-way for the WWE Championship with Jinder Mahal defending against John Cena, against Shinsuke Nakamura, and AJ Styles. That could work. That could really, really work. Because then it wouldn't just... Because then you would have two fatal four-ways for the two brands' main titles, and in a sense, you'd be setting the stage maybe for that brand supremacy, for that brand supremacy Survivor Series that we had last year for this year. You'd be setting that up, because then you'd be trying, from a storyline perspective, you'd be trying to see whose brand's main event or championship main event is the more successful. Is the more accepted, basically the better one out of the two. That could really set the stage for Survivor Series as far as brand supremacy goes. That's if they decide, because that could be a wild card. Think about that. Think about that. Think about it. You want to re-establish SmackDown as a brand people need to see? That fatal four-way on their side of things for the WWE title is definitely the way to do it. Now, a lot of people, though, are predicting the match between Jinder and John is going to happen, and that might happen. Well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see, but my hope is we get a fatal four-way on the SmackDown side of things. I really do. I really hope we get a fatal four-way. I really do. I really do hope we get that. As far as Raw goes, they're teasing a Shield reunion. Raw's going to be. Here's what Raw's going to end up doing. Raw's going to end up being Raw's contribution to SummerSlam is going to be heavily focused on multi-man matches. Hear me out. Hear me out. you're going to have a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. That's what's going to happen. At SummerSlam, you're going to have an Intercontinental triple threat match with Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and The Miz. That's what you're going to get. That's going to be the Intercontinental triple threat match at SummerSlam. That's the direction I think they're going to go in. I really do. Because you're involving now Seth Rollins in the Intercontinental title picture. What better way to probably establish him as one of the top performers in quite some time and show that you're really behind him despite the being injury prone, than to probably let him become Intercontinental Champion. Now, that match could happen at SummerSlam. Then again, what we could end up getting is a tag team match with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins taking on Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Now you might say that's a waste of talent, and it just might be. But I see this match I definitely see this match going down. I definitely see a triple threat match going down between the two. Maybe even a second fatal four-way on behalf of Raw. Because again, I think Raw's contribution mostly is going to be multi-man, if not multi-team matches. And I see that if they don't do a triple threat, I see them doing a fatal four-way for the Intercontinental title to go alongside the fatal four-way for the Universal title. And this fatal four-way for the Intercontinental title, I believe, is going to involve Rollins, Ambrose, Miz, and Jason Jordan. So that's what I expect. Because if you're going to have Jason Jordan on Miz TV next week, then I expect that's going to lead to something, and we're going to get a fatal four-way at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship. On the SmackDown side of things, we saw what happened with New Day and the Usos. Everybody, Dalyxman, and I'm sure a lot of people are hoping for a ladder match between these two at SummerSlam. I'd be all for that. I'm sure they're probably hoping maybe for a TLC match. I'm all for that as well. But you know what? I'm hoping for something different. I'm hoping for a penitentiary match. Hear me out. We've had Ambrose Asylums, right? We've had asylum matches. We have matches to where, on rare occasions, WWE will let their talent go beyond the restrictions. Last year at Extreme Rules, we saw them go beyond the restrictions with the Ambrose Asylum match. You had barbed wire, you had tacks and all that. We saw that. So what I'm hoping for is we get a penitentiary match that's very similar. Basically, you might have, let's say, the Hell in the Cell, but instead of just being a Hell in the Cell match, which would be awesome, instead it's sort of like an enclosed cage. All right. Now I know you're thinking, well, the Ambrose Asylum was enclosed, wasn't it? I think it was. I'm not really sure. But here's what I'm thinking. A penitentiary match basically meaning that you start in the cage and you can even go outside the cage and fight just like you're in some kind of penitentiary, and you can have all sorts of weapons around there that represent what a penitentiary yard looks like. You could have barbed wire, you could have boards and all that. You can have this kind of stuff, and again, this would be one of those rare occasions where they could let the superstars, in this case the New Day and the Usos, go all out. Just let them loose and go from there. And here's the thing. I know some people may think, oh, WWE would never do that. Trust me on this. If they want to get people's eyes on the product, and this is probably one of the better storylines they got going right now, depending on who's writing it, I think a penitentiary match, could work in their favor, especially if it lets these teams, these 4 guys, 5 guys, 4 guys, whatever, go all out. I really think it could work. I really think it could work. And it would be a good SmackDown contribution for SummerSlam, because it'd be like one of those matches to where, let's say, every other match is decent to okay to blah. This would be that one match you'd be like, holy crap, did you see what happened in that match? Did you see what they did? Did you see what they used? So this could be one of those rare occasions. I'm hoping if we don't get a ladder match or a TLC match, we get this penitentiary match. I think it could really benefit both teams, and it would play into the Usos always talking about the Uso penitentiary. I think it could work. Speaking of tag team scenes, again, I think Raw is going to contribute a lot of multi-man matches here, a lot of multi-team matches. I expect a triple threat, if not a fatal four-way, for the tag team titles. Here's why. Shane and Cesaro have not been seen on television for a little bit, but I expect them to defend the championship at SummerSlam, and I expect them to face three teams: the Revival, Anderson and Gallows, and the Hardys. That's what I expect. And I expect this just to be a regular match. No ladders, no nothing. I expect this to be a regular fatal four-way tag team title match with these four teams. That's what I expect to happen. That's what I expect. So that's another match I think is going to happen. Now, if it doesn't happen on the main card, I would expect it to happen on the pre-show. But if the main card is going to be almost 4 hours, I expect it to be there. Speaking of Raw, they're saying that we're going to get Big Cass and Big Show. Yeah, that's going to be on the main card, especially if you want to push Big Cass to that next level, to that main event status. We're probably going to get down on the main show, whether we like it or not. On the SmackDown side of things, I think what we're going to get from the SmackDown side of things, because I've already named several possibilities that we might get. But I expect, that we're going to get a SmackDown contribution to the kickoff show. And I think what we're going to get is Mike Kanellis versus Sami Zayn. Again. But here's why. The reason I think, and this is going to be one of the two kickoff show matches. I think we're going to get Mike Kanellis and Sami Zayn, but there might be a little catch to it, even if it's on the kickoff show. And I think what's going to happen is you might give the winner a shot at the United States Championship, which I think is probably the best solution. Or something's going to happen to where Sami... This is what I think is going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Sami Zayn and Mike Kanellis are going to fight on the pre-show. Maybe it's going to be a fatal four-way on the SmackDown side with Dillinger, English, Zayn, and Kanellis. And I think the winner of that's going to get a shot at the United States Championship. I think that's probably the best way you can utilize those guys on the pre-show. On the kickoff for SummerSlam. Utilize them on the kickoff show and let them compete in a fatal four-way, with the winner maybe getting a shot at the United States title. So that's what I see happening there. Or if you're going to put these guys in tag teams now because you got nothing else to do with them, then let the winner get a tag team title shot. Either way, I think we're going to get either we're going to get a tag team match, we're going to get a one-on-one match, or we're going to get a fatal four-way or a triple threat involving any one of these competitors, or any portion of these competitors. And I'm believing my opinion on it is it's not going to just be a regular match on the kickoff show, although it may just be that. I think we're going to get a number one contenders match. I think the winner, Zayn against Kanellis, against Dillinger, and maybe Aiden English, if he gets thrown in there, will get a shot at the United States title. So depending on who is the United States champion, if they go with Styles and Nakamura, could be possibly the next feud for one of them to get into. As far as the Raw contribution to the kickoff show, that's kind of up in the air. But I think if Raw contributes anything to the kickoff show, I think it's going to be, it's going to involve Kurt Hawkins, unfortunately. So I expect Kurt Hawkins will probably take on Enzo Amore. That's my prediction. My prediction on the kickoff show for Raw. As far as 205 goes, it looks like the Cruiserweights contribution is going to be a triple threat. And since the Cruiserweights are Raw exclusive, again, Raw is going to be, main contribution is going to be some multi-man matchups. Expect the Cruiserweights to have a triple threat at SummerSlam with Neville defending against Akira Tozawa and Anare Davari, or Arian Davari. Expect that to be the Cruiserweight contribution. But really, those are just the match types, I think. But in my opinion, I might be wrong about a few of those, but those are just my match predictions for SummerSlam. I'm not saying some of these will happen, not saying some of them won't, but it's just the way things are going, the way people are talking, the way I'm reading up on things. I expect some of these matches to occur in some shape or form. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. How do you see these matches happening if they do? What do you think match prediction wise could occur at SummerSlam? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'm out. Oh, but wait. One more thing before I leave. I want to say that as far as SmackDown Live goes tonight, I believe Road Dogg did write it, but I don't think he wrote it alone. I think this is what I think happened. I think he got someone to consult with. I think after all the backlash that Battleground got, and the hashtag Fire Road Dogg, and the hashtag worst WWE pay-per-view of the year, if not of all time, I think what happened is Road Dogg was consulted by maybe Hunter, Paul Levesque, Triple H, and I'm thinking he probably got some help writing the show, and he probably got help from either Ryan Ward, Michael Cole, from what people are saying, or whoever they brought in. So that's what I'm thinking happened. I'm thinking he did write it, but he wrote it with the help of someone consulting and giving him advice on how to do things, on how to write a good show. So that's what I think. That's what I think. And I even tweeted Dalyxman about that. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Again, I will talk to y'all later. But that's all I can say on what my match predictions for SummerSlam could be if they go in these directions, with these storylines go in the directions a lot of us think they will. Let me know what you guys think down below. What matchups do you think could occur? And I'll talk to you later.